In today's video, we're gonna go over my favorite credit cards, which will give you rewards for the spending that you already do. We'll go through 4 different tiers or levels of credit cards today, from beginner all the way to advanced, as well as a bonus level, and we'll figure out how to maximize your rewards for having these cards. The first level of cards we're gonna talk about are for newcomers. Those are people that are completely new to the credit card game. Tier 2 are going to be your novice or your beginner cards. Tier 3 are the intermediate cards. These are going to have an annual fee to start with, and then Tier 4 are going to be your premium or your luxury cards. The bonus tier, which we will talk about, will be at the very end of this video, so make sure to stick around for that. Starting with the newcomer category, these are going to be cards that are designed for people with 0 credit history, or if you're a lot younger and still in school, this entire category is for you. Now, if you don't have a credit score at all, what I would recommend going with is something called a secured credit card. Now, a secured credit card helps you build credit, and the way that it works is that you basically put up some collateral with the card issuer. So for example, you might give them a $100 or $200 deposit, and in return for that collateral, they actually extend you a credit limit. A credit score is just the number that actually reflects how good you are with borrowing money and then paying that money back on time. So by getting a secured credit card, what you're essentially doing is you're getting an opportunity to show that card issuer or that lender that you are good with your money and that you can make those payments on time. Now, typically, if you do this for about 12 to 18 months of paying your payments on time, then your card issuer will upgrade your secured card into an unsecured card, and then they will return the collateral to you. Now, if you're someone who is younger or you might be a student, another method of getting started with credit cards is to simply apply for a student credit card. Student credit cards are pretty straightforward and they have a few benefits. So one of them are lower fees. They usually have a 0% introductory APR offer typically, and they also offer perks like a good grade reward or incentive so that if you have good grades, you can get some cash back. They usually also include some sort of flat cash back program. So for example, the Chase Freedom Rise card will offer you 1.5% cash back, as well as a $25 statement credit for enrolling in automatic payments, which is pretty nice. You're not gonna find great travel rewards or travel hacks from these credit cards because they're designed for those students in mind. And so basically think of it as a credit card on training wheels. It's getting those people used to paying on time, building their credit score, and maybe also giving them some education about how credit works. Oftentimes, banks and credit card issuers are going to advertise to students because they know that if they can get a new customer at the very ground level, so right when they turn 18, that they could be potential lifelong customers. Now, this has been a little bit controversial in the past because students without great financial education have actually been known to easily overextend themselves when it comes to credit. However, if you're watching this channel, you should know that we should be aiming to pay off all of our credit card payments on time and in full, treat it like cash. And that way, at least you're getting the maximum benefits from the card, and that way you're using the credit cards and they're not using you. I'll have some links down below for all the newcomer cards that we've talked about so far, as well as all the other cards in today's video will be linked down below. The next category of cards are going to be your novice cards. So these are cards with no annual fees, but they're gonna start to offer way better benefits than the first tier of cards that we've talked about in this video. Generally, this is where a lot of the fun can begin because the rewards actually start to become significant, and then you can actually see why having a credit card is so powerful. For example, credit cards from a bank such as the Wells Fargo Active Cash or the Bank of America Customized Cash, these are great because they're going to give you flat cash back on your purchases as well as no annual fee. And you'll also get a sign-up bonus of $200 when you spend $500 in the first 3 months. But another example at this level could be the Amex Blue Cash Everyday Card. That's a free card to own, which gives you 3% cash back at supermarkets, 3% cash back on gas stations, and 3% back on online retail purchases, plus 1% everywhere else. The other nice thing about this category is that there are starting to be sign-up bonuses just for signing up for the card, and that's gonna play a huge role in the later tiers in this video. So the Blue Cash Everyday card, for example, has a $200 statement credit as long as you spend $2,000 within the first 6 months of owning it, which is basically giving you like 10% cash back as long as you're able to meet that spend. Some other options at this level include the Chase Freedom Unlimited card, and I've actually talked about this on my channel before, but that gives you a lot of cash back in different types of categories as well as a really great sign-up bonus. The Apple card is another card that goes in this category. It's a very beginner-friendly card. It gets you 2% cash back as long as you use Apple Pay, but the one thing I don't like about it is that there is no sign-up bonus with the Apple Card. The whole point of this card tier is to basically build up your credit history and build your relationship with the card issuers that you think you might want to get an intermediate or premium card with. For example, if you know that you want the American Express Gold or Platinum card in the future, you might want to opt for the American Express Blue Cash Everyday card, and that way you're building up your relationship with them and showing that you are a good borrower. If you applied for the Chase Freedom Unlimited in this tier, then perhaps in the future you could apply for the Chase Sapphire Preferred or the Chase Sapphire Sapphire Reserve, and that way you're staying within that family of cards. The next category are your intermediate cards, and this is where the rewards and the benefits for your spending can go absolutely crazy, and it's part of the reason why many people get into the credit card game in the first place. You can see the full range of some of the intermediate cards right here, and the first thing that should immediately stand out to you is that a lot of these cards will cost you money to keep around. For example, the American Express Gold card has a $250 annual fee, and so this is something that we need to keep in mind because we really want to maximize our rewards in order to basically break even or actually come out ahead on that fee. In order to do that, we should know each card's benefits like the back of our hand so that whenever we come into a situation where it makes sense to use that card, we do. Other cards in this category include the Chase Sapphire Preferred card, an amazing travel card that I've talked about on this channel before, as well as the Marriott Bonvoy Bevy card or the American Express Blue Cash Preferred card. Okay, so let's actually talk about how we would maximize our value using an example here. So the American Express Gold card, like I said before, it has a $250 annual fee. But with this fee, you get a host of perks, including a $120 dining credit, as well as a $120 in Uber Cash credit. For the dining credit, they'll actually give you a $10 statement credit every single month that you eat at select restaurants. So for example, Cheesecake Factory, Shake Shack, or anything from Grubhub. For the Uber Cash, it's actually pretty similar. You'll get $10 in statement credits for Uber or Uber Eats. And so as long as you use those two benefits and those two credits, you already get back $240 of the $250 annual fee. Then you also get 4x points on dining and groceries. So therefore, if you eat out a lot and you like to use it as your primary food card, then you're actually going to get 4% cash back on those categories. There are a lot of other intangible benefits that the American Express Gold card has as well, but I usually find that as long as I'm able to spend money on those two credits, as well as just use it as my everyday dining card, that I definitely get more value out of it than the $250 annual fee. Now, one thing that's in common with a lot of these intermediate cards is that they usually have a really generous welcome or sign-up bonus, and you really want to make sure that you get this no matter what. The American Express Gold, for example, usually has an intro offer of at least 60,000 bonus points if you spend $6,000 in the first 6 months, but oftentimes I've actually seen that go up to 80,000 or even 100,000 bonus points. It just kind of depends. You need to check on it frequently. Whenever you're applying for one of these cards, you need to know the terms of the welcome offer because a lot of your ROI will be from the welcome offer itself. For example, 60,000 bonus points is the equivalent of $600 in cash back because 1 point is the equivalent of 1 cent. And so right then and there, as long as we get the intro bonus of 60,000 bonus points, we actually can make up the annual fee quite a lot. One strategy that I like to talk about on the channel all the time is you want to try to time a big purchase with the applying of one of these cards. That way you're not really too stressed about hitting that sign-up bonus at all. So if you know that you're going to buy some large furniture, perhaps a MacBook, an iPhone, maybe the Apple Vision Pro pretty soon, maybe you can sign up for one of these cards, and that way a large chunk of the spend that you need for that card is already taken care of. When it comes to redeeming your points for the maximum value, this is kind of where it gets a little bit hacky in my opinion. So what I mean by that is you need to basically be a points nerd to figure out what the best value is. Every card's going to have a different strategy for maximizing their points. So for example, the American Express line of cards, it's usually best to transfer it to an airline partner and then get your value that way. For the Chase suite of cards, I found that transferring your points to an airline partner to get a business class flight is usually pretty good, or you can transfer it to a hotel partner like Hyatt and then get a really nice hotel room for a fraction of the price in terms of points. There's just so much still left about maximizing credit card points that I need to dive into that I haven't shared on this channel. So I actually might make a completely separate video on that in the future, or perhaps a blog post. So keep an eye out for that. All right, the fourth tier of cards here is our premium tier. This is essentially the last tier before we get to the bonus section, which I hope that you're still sticking around for. But these are going to be cards with huge annual fees. Oftentimes the annual fee for this category might be $395 a year, $550 a year, or even $695 per year. These are usually the final version of that entire card issuer's family of cards. So for example, with the Chase Freedom line, it would be the Chase Freedom Unlimited, and then you would get the Chase Sapphire Preferred. And then in this tier, it's the Chase Sapphire Reserve. It's really at this tier that you really need to make sure that you know exactly how you're going to make back that annual fee and then some, because otherwise the annual fees are going to be really hefty. The American Express Platinum card, for example, has a whopping $695 annual fee, but as I said in an earlier video from this year, you actually get a lot for that fee. You get a $200 hotel credit, a $240 entertainment credit, so that's $20 a month back on subscriptions like Disney Plus, ESPN, Hulu, the New York Times, and the Wall Street Journal. There's $200 in Uber Cash, $200 in airline fee credits, and a $300 Equinox credit, either $100 at Saks, $189 Clear Plus credit. You get the idea. You get a lot of credits back for this annual fee. If you just use the basic hotel, Uber, entertainment, as well as the airline fee credit, you're already back at $840 in value for that fee. If you go to Equinox, shop at Saks, Fifth Avenue, or you get the Clear Plus credit, you get even more value out of it. Then, of course, with the American Express Platinum card, you actually get access to the Centurion Lounge, and so that's a special airport lounge that they have at many different airports across the country, and I really like going there before a flight because you get free food, great Wi-Fi, and a nice place to sit. Also, the fact that they have these lounges in many different airports across the country makes traveling a lot easier, and if you ever have a layover somewhere, you can just go to their lounge if there is one in that airport. The American Express Platinum also gets you a host of other perks, so you get 5x points back on flights or hotels, and when you book a hotel through the Fine Hotel and Resorts platform that they have, sometimes you often get upgraded rooms, or you actually get a $100 dining credit for the property. When I went and stayed at the one hotel in Nashville recently for a video that I shot with George Camel, they actually gave me an upgraded room as well as 2 complimentary breakfasts for the night that I was staying there and a $100 dining credit. Right then and there, I believe I got way more than $160 in value just from the dining credit and the breakfasts alone. And then if you count the upgrade, that's worth even more. So that's my personal experience with the Amex Platinum. It's one of my favorite cards besides the gold card. And if you are thinking about getting one of these cards, make sure to use the links down below. They really help support the channel and keep this content free. And that's the theme for this entire category of premium travel cards. You usually can make the annual fee back. The Capital One Venture X, for example, has a $395 annual fee, but immediately you'll get a $300 annual travel credit for that card, as well as 10,000 miles as an anniversary bonus every single year. If you take those 2 perks alone, that immediately makes up for the $395 annual fee, and the Chase Sapphire Reserve is very similar in that regard. It has a bunch of different credits for dining and travel. All right, so we've made it to the bonus tier section of this video. If you've been sticking with me this whole time, this is what it's all about. So in this bonus tier, we're gonna talk about business cards as well as the exclusive cards that nobody really has, which is the American Express Black Card, as well as the JP Morgan Reserve. So first and foremost, business credit cards are great if you own your own business, or perhaps you're a sole proprietor and you want to get rewarded for the spending that you already do within your business. Business credit cards usually have similar perks to their retail counterparts, and then what you can also do is combine the points from your business as well as your personal, and that way you can go and do something really cool with those points. So I personally had a Chase Business Inc. card when I was running a poster business back in 2017 to 2018. And what was really cool was that I was spending about $50,000 to $60,000 a month on Facebook ads, and I was using that all on a Chase Business Inc. credit card. So as you can imagine, those bonus points started to rack up very quickly, and I was able to benefit from that on my own personal side. So if you have a business bank account with Chase, you can apply for the Business Inc. card, but otherwise I would probably just go with something like the American Express Platinum Business Card. The other benefit I think of having a business card versus a personal credit card is that you keep those expenses separate, and that way it's a lot easier for accounting at the end of the year. I'll have a list of my favorite business cards linked below in case you're interested, but my personal favorite one is the Amex Platinum Business Card, as well as the Chase Inc. one, as long as you have a Chase account. Now, when it comes to getting the super personal exclusive cards like the American Express Centurion card, aka the Black Card, as well as the JP Morgan Reserve card, what you essentially need is a ton of assets under management, or you have to have a crazy ridiculous amount of spend every single year. So the Black Card, for example, you typically need to have a spend of $250,000 to $500,000 per year on just your personal Amex, and that way you might get invited to apply for the Black Card. For some regions where the average consumer is super high net worth, or they spend a lot of money, for example, if you're in San Francisco, New York, Miami, or something like that, the amount that you have to spend to get invited for the Black Card might actually be a lot higher, so it might be upwards of $1 million. Once you get the card, it's also a $10,000 initiation fee, as well as a $5,000 annual fee just for having that card. And at that point, I think it's just a flex. The American Express Platinum will do a lot of the same things as the Black Card. However, you do have some crazy concierge with the Black Card that the Platinum does not have. Still though, if you're in this position where you might be able to get the Black Card, it might not be the best ROI. It's just something that you want to have because you want to go flex on them haters. The JP Morgan Reserve card is actually one that I would get if I could, because the annual fee is very similar to the Chase Sapphire Reserve at $595 versus $550 for the Chase Sapphire. The kicker though is that you need about $10 million in assets under management with Chase before you get invited to apply for this card. And essentially it has very similar benefits to the Chase Sapphire Reserve, but it does get you access to the United Club. So if you fly United a lot, that's actually one of the benefits. However, I think just most people won't be able to get access to this card because you need $10 million. Who has that lying around, and who's just gonna put all of that in Chase? I don't know. Are you? All right, that wraps up the list today. Make sure to drop a like on this video if you got some value out of it, and let me know any questions that you have below. If you're looking to apply for a new credit card, consider checking out some of the links down below in description. That way, it really helps support my channel and allows me to continue making these great videos for you for free. If you're curious about my favorite credit cards, I'm gonna leave this video right up here so that you guys can check that out after this video, and I will see you guys in the next one, or perhaps I'll see you in that video. All right, peace.